If you're a powerful After Effects user, this might be a waste of time. Although there's a cool trick I just developed a couple days ago at the end you might enjoy. If you're learning After Effects, this is going to be really useful to you. What I want to talk about is moving things together, hence the title of this, Dance With Me. So let's say, for example, I have a tow rope and I have a skier, and the skier wants to travel with the tow rope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a position keyframe here. By hitting the letter P, I get the position stuff to pop down. And then I'm going to move down in my timeline, and I'm going to move my tow rope over here. And by hitting the letter 0, it previews across, and there it is sliding across the screen. Now what I want to do is I want to get the skier to go with the tow rope. Now, when I was first learning After Effects, I thought, well, if I just copy those keyframes and I put those on top of the skier. Oh, okay, so that doesn't work. See, what that does is it puts the skier thing in exactly the same time and space with the tow rope, and you just kind of have a mess. So I'm going to undo that. The other way I could do it is I could say, well, I could just do my animation here too. So I'm going to go P for position, and I'm going to go like this. I'm going to bring this down here. I'm going to bring this like this, and that's kind of, that's a lot of work to do that. And actually, it's not perfect because I didn't move the skier the same number of pixels as the tow rope, and if you look carefully, he's actually going faster than the tow rope, so that's probably not a good way to do it either. So I'm going to undo that. The third way to do it is by using the parent control, and the parent control works like this. So what I do is I pick the skier, and then I go to this parent control here. Now, if you don't have this, sometimes it gets shut off, and I can remember the first time I went to look for it, I was like, where's my parent? I can't find it. And what ends up happening is you have to go to this little flyout here, and you come down to columns, and you turn the parent control back on. So then what you do is you select the skier, and you say, I want to parent that to the tow rope. And now when I animate the tow rope, the skier goes with it at exactly the same speed. Now this is nice as long as you remember which thing you're actually moving, okay? Because if I try to change the speed of this and say, well, I want this to get there quicker, and I bring this keyframe down to here, okay, so now it's just going to happen faster. So see how it goes across quicker? That's fine, but if I forget which is connected to who, what might end up happening is I'll go like this, and I'll say, oh yeah, I want the skier to be, okay, now what I'm doing is I'm changing my relation of the skier to the tow rope. So you see, if I were to rewind now, the skier is offset. Okay, and that can be good, that can be bad. But for the purpose of this little demo, it's actually kind of important to get this. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this back here. We're going to put the skier there. And then I'm going to show that I can actually take this guy and say, well, what I really want to do is I want to make my tow rope go up the hill. So if I go like that, and now when I reanimate, there goes my skier up the hill. Okay? Now there's another way to do this, and that's with a null object, but that's kind of a different topic. We're not going to get into that today. So that's how I would parent the skier to the tow rope. Now the beauty of this is once I get the skier to the top of the hill, I can actually unparent him, and now the tow rope runs separately, and the skier he kind of gets dropped off wherever you unparent. So the tow rope analogy is kind of a good thing if you've ever done that, where you go skiing and you grab that tow rope, and at the point where you grab it, you're going to start traveling with the rope, and at the point that you let go of it, you're going to stop traveling with the rope. Okay, so now let's go into a little bit more complex situation, and this is the same two guys, and now they're in a 3D space. And the reason they're in a 3D space is if I come down here, I see that I have a background, which I do not have my 3D on because I don't want the background to move with all the stuff. And then I have my little tow rope and my skier guy. And I have this other thing called Scene 2. What the heck is that about? Okay, so if I so here's my tow rope situation, and now I have a camera above all of this, and I'm actually going to take the camera and I'm going to slide it to the right, okay? And when I do, so imagine the camera is just going to truck right, okay? So there's the camera, and now I'm in a new scene. Now, if I zoom out a little bit on my canvas, I can see my other things here. Here is my tow rope, and there's its keyframes. Here is my skier, and it has no keyframes, but it's parented to that, and I just kind of have to know that. But it's off this frame here. It's out of frame. Okay, so here's scene 2. Now, this is where it gets really interesting because I want to now go to a scene 3, and what I'm going to do in that scene 3 is I'm going to actually zoom in 3D space past scene 2. Now, this is something you do a lot in like kind of fancy kenetic typography type things, but here's the problem. When I zoom past, and I've already built these keyframes, so here I am zooming past, and what I'm doing is I'm using the camera and I'm changing the camera in the Z space. So now I've zoomed past my stuff, so where is it? Well, if I zoom out a bunch, I can see where all my things are. So there's my label that said scene 2, and here's my skier, and that's my tow rope. You see how that all works? So here they are, and then they zoom out there, and then I zoom past them in the Z space, and I get to my new location. Now here is the real problem, and if you've hung on this far, you're going to get a good little tip. What I want to do is I want to make a new label that says scene 3. Okay, whoops, I just moved my background. I'm going to lock that so I don't do it again. Okay, so I want to make a new label that says scene 3. So I'm going to come up here to my typer and I'm going to go scene 3. Oops, 4, 3. And I'm going to, frame that, whatever. I can scale it, whatever. I can do whatever I want. But you see, for it to move in the 3D space, it has to be a 3D item. And so I got lucky when I placed it on scene 3 because it's still in 2D mode. Now watch this. When I tink this little guy on here, my thing disappears. And that's weird. Where did it go? There it is, and now it's gone. First time this happened to me, I was lost. Well, if I zoom way out, I can see that here is my little guy. Okay? It's right up here. So when the rule of thumb is when you change something into 3D, it's going to place it in what I call home base. In other words, where the camera fits in its default setting is where that thing is going to go. So see, now it's stuck in scene 3. And when I zoom, when I truck over to scene 2, it leaves me over there. And when I zoom into scene 3, it's way out here. So what's the easiest way to get that into scene 3? Well, let's go back here. Remember how I said that when you parent the skier to the tow rope, okay, and you can move the skier up with the tow rope and then unparent him, and now the tow rope moves separately, we're going to use that same principle, and I call this the hand truck principle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom back into scene 1. Okay, this is where my tow rope and my skier are sliding up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to parent scene 3 to the camera. Now, besides using this pull down, you can also use this little gizmo. They call it the pick whip. So I can take this guy and I'm going to parent it over to camera 1. Now, what that means is that my little label here called scene 3 is going to move and be tied proportionally to the front of the camera at all times. So as I truck to the right, my scene 3 goes with it. Okay, that's cool. And as I zoom past scene 2 into scene 3, the scene 3 label goes with it. Well, guess what? I'm there now. I have found my framing for scene 3, and at this point, just like the skier and the tow rope, I'm going to let go of the tow rope. Okay? I'm going to let go of the tow rope, or as I like to call it, the hand truck, which now carried this little label from the home base, which is here. It brought me over to here, and then it brought me over to here. Now, I'll probably deal with some sort of an opacity thing here as I zoom in on it. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go letter T for opacity, and I'm going to put a keyframe there, and I'm going to come over here and put a keyframe. How do I do this? Here. And then on this one, I'm going to fade it out. So as I zoom in on it, it comes into play, and it's not tainting my scene 2. But that way, I was able to carry my scene 3 label from the home base position into the second base position, into the third base position, and then let go of the tow rope in exactly the same way as what we did here. When I grab onto the tow rope or parent the items, they travel together. When I let go of the tow rope, I let go of the tow rope. So that's my little trick on moving things between scenes in the After Effects. Later.